Okay, welcome back to the Success, Money, and Marriage podcast. I'm Steve Siebold.
And I'm Dawn Siebold.
And today we're going to talk about in a partnership with your a business partnership with your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other in the business. Who's working harder on the business?
That's just so easy. This is going to be our shortest podcast.
Really?
Yes, because it's.
You have some real thoughts about that.
I have some real. Okay.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, I clearly work so much harder than you do.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm being serious.
So you're being a comedian again.
No, I'm not.
You should do stand up.
No,
you're really funny.
I am so completely serious.
Okay, make your case.
I am so completely serious.
Almost a joke.
First of all, I have to pick up 10 plates and spin them every single day to keep everything that we're doing active and going and moving forward and not getting left behind. I have lists of things on my list. And there's no doubt, I think if you ask anyone that knows us, I think if anyone asks, I'm not complaining. You just, I'm in objective reality.
Yeah, I know you are. You're a little world.
I am in objective reality. Yeah. You can ask anyone that has worked with us.
You spend much time
they will say
Disneyland? Did you like that
they will say by far that I work way harder than you do.
Oh, so you're not trying to bring outside people in to bolster your case because you can't make it by yourself.
Yes, Hunter.
Your Honor. Don't bring Hunter in again.
Okay, I'm just saying.
You can't just get people from the outside to agree with you.
I can. Okay, I just want to challenge all of you. Today, Stephen posted
let's talk about
Facebook. Today. On Facebook, Stephen posted the fact that we were putting out this podcast, and of everyone who commented, what were their comments, Steve? And be honest, because we're on camera.
Steve. Great job.
Go ahead. Tell them what. Go ahead. Tell them what was the comment.
It's a great job, Steve. You're awesome. Okay. You're amazing.
Every person who commented on this said clearly. One of the posts. Clearly.
One of the posts.
Dawn.
It was everybody. Well, now it's one post.
Well, okay.
One person.
I said a few people. Okay. At the end of the day.
Okay. Okay.
They know I run the company. I run. I'm way harder.
You run. Are you going
to run?
Okay. Let's look at today as an example. This is my turn.
Oh,
Your Honor.
No, you cannot do that.
Oh, yeah. Today, Dawn started playing tennis at 9 o'clock in the morning. Hold on.
Was it 10?
My turn.
Was it 10?
My turn.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. What time did I get up?
Oh, that's irrelevant.
Time did I get up and start working? Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So Dawn played tennis at 9 and then
10.
10
it was 10 o'clock?
Well, she left at 9 to get there. So she leaves at 9 to get there by 10 because it's a tennis match and we make so much money and so much revenue goes into the business from Dawn's tennis matches, as you guys know. We spend more in tennis shoes than whatever. Anyway, so in rackets and strings and lessons. So let's not even talk about lessons. Okay. So that's all there's club membership fees. Okay. All these things. So then she strolls in about 1 o'clock. Oh, it's such a beautiful day out.
It was 12:30.
What are you doing, Steve? I'm like, what do you think I'm doing, Dawn? I'm working. Like I run the business. I'm working. You know, I'm generating revenue. What are you doing? She's like, oh, it was such a nice day out. I had a great tennis match. You didn't even tell me if you won or not, but.
Because you never asked.
Oh, well, did you win?
Yeah, I won.
Okay.
So that's not the point.
So that was a big day, Dawn.
Okay, then tell everybody what
did you get done. Your job.
What did you get done today?
Oh, a lot of stuff. I'm talking to you about it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Defend yourself.
No. I've been working all day since I got up early. Now, is there
at 8:30?
No, I got up at 7:45. Maybe 8.
Okay, but I mean, seriously, I think that it feels like to me that I work more because Stephen he has so much fun doing what he does every day. And it doesn't appear to be working for me because a part of his job is to read and to surf the internet and do research for his speeches and his books. And it just looks like read the paper. And so all the things that he does, it just looks like someone's relaxing and having fun, reading books and magazines and scrolling through Facebook and doing all these social media things. But that actually is a part of his job. So it really does feel like, because I got to sit at my desk, I've got to answer the phone, I have to put all the fires out, I've got to run the 10 plates at the same time. So for me, and I'm just bringing this point up because when you really look and you're working with a partner, you know, I would question it because it does look like he's just having fun when he's really actually doing his job.
Well, it depends on your job, of course, you know, and your role and everything like that. But I think that, you know, on a serious note, if you're partners and you have to worry about the other person working,
right?
Yeah, you know, that's just one of those red flags. That's really a big deal. I mean, because we've never really had a situation, I don't think, where we said you need to work more. I mean, we joke about it all the time.
No, it's more you need to stop.
We couldn't even joke about it if it was true.
It's more you need to stop. you need to stop working.
Stop
I mean, no,
working. It's
you
ridiculous.
need to take a break.
What you're producing is crap. You need to
Right.
stop right now. You're just exhausted.
Yeah, no, I mean, seriously, and tennis is just an outlet for me. And I know we talk about rest and recovery and mental toughness, and Steve has his guitars and works out. So you do have to have that break. But I do think that, as far as the work ethic goes, that is a huge discussion. And because it's different for everyone and it's relative. I mean, some people think we're workaholics, and other people put us under the ground. I mean, they're true workaholics.
There are people who work a lot
that
more
really
than,
that work a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
And so I think that expectation set up before you go into partnership, or if you're already in partners and you're deciding on getting into a business like a network marketing company, and you're working together and you're working full time, and now it's going to be a part-time job. I mean, I remember when back in the day when we were doing Amway, back when we were kids, we would go to school. I worked at Burger King.
Yeah.
then we would go to meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
And we always showed up. But I definitely think you got to have that conversation. And what?
You remember the two names?
The two names.
Do not come home until you get two names to put in the hat.
Oh my gosh.
We had this 2-name system. This is before we got married.
Right. Yeah, it was before we got married. Yeah.
Before we got married, we decided we have to make contacts, right, in these network marketing businesses. So, because you have to have someone to talk to.
Right.
So we decided every day, but you couldn't come back to the house, the apartment,
right,
until you had 2 names of people that you met that day that you had on paper. You had to have their name and phone number. And then on Sundays, we had this phone.
To make it fun.
With Star Wars, it wasn't big then. It was pretty old by then.
Yeah, it was old
like
by then.
10 years old.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, we had this big Darth Vader phone, conference phone.
Well, it was the first time that
It was the first
time that speakerphones had come out.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it was like a speakerphone. So the voice came out of Darth Vader.
Yeah,
and you could
out of his
talk,
mouth.
and you could.
It was really cool.
And we would talk to Darth Vader. We would make them go,
So
"Hey Steve,
like,
hey Steve,
Luke,
what's doing?"
I am your father.
Okay. Anyway, we were 20 years old. What do you expect?
Yeah, so we'd make it because it was fun because we'd make these cold prospecting
Totally
calls
cold.
on the Darth Vader phone, and we did it together on Sunday nights. But we had to have 2 a day to do it. So I remember a couple times Dom would come home from working, and I forget where you were working then, where I was working. It was a long time ago, but it Burger King.
It was,
or something,
no,
or
waiting tables. Applebee's.
Applebee's, right? I remember you always exhausted because you're on your feet all day. But so she'd come up with one name, and I'd be like, you have to have 2 names. You have to go back out. She's like, where am I going to go? It's like, you have to have 2 names. I mean, this is the law. It's the rule. She's like, where are your names? Like, my names are right here. It was a little easier because I was teaching tennis. So it was a little bit easier for me.
Yeah, you got out more than I did.
Yeah. I remember that one time she went back out. She's like, no, I have 1 name. This doesn't even count. She changes clothes and she says, I'm going to get something. I'm going to go to Hardee's, the hamburger place. It was right down the street.
Right.
And she goes to Hardee's and she says, well, I'll pick you up a hamburger. So she goes there and she's like chasing this guy out in the park. You're like, hey, come back. I need your business card. I got to go home. It was like 9 o'clock at night.
It was awful. It was awful.
It was terrible. But 2 names. We had, and then we called the Darth Vader phone on Sunday night and called these people. It's talking funny time. We have a business opportunity like we're talking into Darth's head.
Yeah,
it was
so funny.
Kind of fun.
But I think you have to have an agreement. You have to say this is what really hard work is, or this is the hours I'm willing to put in. If you say that, stick to those hours, because that was really that made us so much stronger. When I said I need a break, I can't do this anymore. We took a break. And it wasn't a fight because Stephen had seen me do all that hard work and still trying to go to school, part-time job, trying to do a network marketing company for all the network marketers out there. We know how difficult that is. And but I did what I said I was going to do. And at the end of the day, I think that's all you can ask.
Yeah, but what would you say to people? Like, one of the things that sometimes in life, obviously in any area of life, different areas of life, that things just come naturally to you. Whether it's a skill or it's a relationship or it's some kind of thing, it just comes without thinking. And other times you got to work. Like you were joking about my guitar playing. And I was telling somebody the other day.
I wasn't joking.
Oh yeah, thanks. That's nice again to reinforce that. Thanks for that. But I was telling somebody the other day that whatever I learned in guitar, it was Jeffrey Crespo.
Okay.
Who's the great guitar player? Of course, played bands all over the world, famous bands all over the world as a guitar player, and traveled all over. And he was giving me a guitar lesson at the mansion the other day, and he was here in town. He lives in Nashville, and he was talking about how guitar came. So he went to Berkeley, of course, School of Music, and he played guitar there, and he knows all these famous guitar players and whatever, and they're classmates of his. And he's telling me that, and I said, I've been playing guitar since I was a little kid, since I was 10, so that's a long time. And whatever I've learned in guitar, literally everything, I've worked for every single thing I've ever learned, because it just took work for me, because I don't see it like someone like that, like Crespo picks it up like in this, tennis was like that for me.
Right.
When I was 6 years old, they showed me what to do, and I did it. And they're like, how can you, just so some things are easier than others. So my point is that, some things there's a skill or there's a situation like with us. Like, I don't ever remember us saying, okay, these are the hours you're going to work. We just worked as much as we needed to work. And we've never really had I don't ever remember actually having that conversation. But what would you say to a couple that's listening to this or a person that's listening to this as a partnership saying where they go, well, how do I have that conversation if I need to have that conversation? We never really, that I can remember.
No,
really
but I would do it before you get into business. And two,
definitely.
and you have to think of the families who have children. So that is if anybody works 24/7, it's a mother, if you ask me, and fathers. But most of it usually still to this day is on the mother. So, but I would set up this. If you're going to go into business together, you say this is what I can do, and stick to it. And we never had to because, again, we didn't have the distraction that children bring into the family. I mean, they're beautiful and loving, but that would have been a distraction in our business. And so I think that you have to just figure that out. Figure it out and then stick to it. The problem is when someone says, yeah, I want to do it, and then they never do anything.
Well, so that's good.
I would do that before you even get into business. Now, if you're already in business, have that serious conversation, sit down, say, okay, because sure enough, one guy's going to say, I don't think that's working enough. And you can't judge if if the wife says I can do 10 hours a week and this is what I got, then you gotta be okay with that. You can't just say, hey, I need you 12, especially if she's taking care of the kids.
Okay, but what if a person, let's say someone's listening to this and their partner is just they don't have the work ethic. And it's like half of, let's say it's like...
Oh, let it go. Let the guy go.
Let the guy go.
Just don't be a partner with them. Because the struggle...
This is their spouse.
I'm not talking about you've been in business.
Their relationship partner.
But they're in business together?
They're in business together.
Then
one person doesn't have the work ethic.
I'd find I would find a business you can do yourself. It's just too hard. It's hard enough to do the business when you're 100% committed. And then if you have someone you got to drag along every single day, first of all, it's going to make you mad every day.
Yeah.
And it's going to build up and build up and build up. And if you're really an entrepreneur and you want to do it and your spouse is not as committed or it's going to irritate you every single day, find a company you can go to and do it by yourself if it's, if that's the case. I would let it go. I would save the marriage and let the business go.
That's pretty extreme, though. I mean, that could really hurt the relationship.
It's just
you don't have the work ethic, so I got to get another partner and do it myself.
What would you say?
I don't know. It's very tough. I mean, we've had a lot of people have asked us about book signings and stuff. Yeah. That's not what we talk about. We're talking about it here, but we've never talked about it before.
No.
As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons we decided to do this podcast because for years and years, and Dawn and I have put on seminars all over the world, people, because we joke back and forth and kid around a lot, trying to entertain, to keep people alive in audiences, and while they're doing 3-day workshops and 12-hour days and all that, people would say, oh, how do you guys do it? How have you worked together? You've built these businesses all over the world together. And it's like, we just go, well, whatever we say. And then we've talked, that's going to be going on for 25 years.
Right.
We've literally heard that all over the world. And we've never been in that business or talked about it. But we always talk about afterwards when we're debriefing is we'll say, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't really know that I know the answer, and I don't know that there is an answer, but you got to negotiate. You'd have to negotiate that pretty carefully with your partner because you could certainly do it on the business end.
I couldn't do it.
I don't think
I could. I could stay married. I'd rather stay married, and then I would go do a business on my own and let me build it by myself.
You're basically firing your partner. I mean, your relationship partner.
I know, but it's
not in the relationship.
No, I know.
You just fired them.
I know, but it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
If you're 100% entrepreneur, and those people listening to this podcast that have that fire in them, they know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's so difficult. It's so difficult.
Yeah,
and honestly, it'd be easier for the partner. If you're the one that's on fire and your partner's not on fire, let them go. Because trust me, they don't want to hear it every day either. And it's easier on you because you're not dragging them through the mud. And it's much easier on the partner to just let it go.
Yeah.
And then you never know. People change. You might come around and see how the success is. I think that should be a great podcast session, is talking about growing and personal development. When one couple, you have a couple, one's growing and one's not. And how do you keep up? It's almost the same thing.
Yeah,
very difficult.
We joke about the tennis thing, like Don likes to play tennis and whatnot, but the truth of it is, I mean, the serious part of it is that that's like one of the things that has saved us in business, because, if you're in business, this. I mean, you kind of work, like you might physically be working a certain amount of hours, and it's probably a lot, but mentally, you never turn it off. There's really no 5 o'clock, 5:30 bell, or, Fred Flintstone, slides down the dinosaur and goes home and says, well, Bob, that doesn't really happen. I mean, you dream about it. Like I was dreaming about, we had a meeting last night and I was dreaming about it. It was a late meeting and I was dreaming about it all night.
Me too.
Just, you can't.
Woke up thinking about it.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, if you enjoy the business, I mean, it's fun, but to think about it, but you do think about it all the time. So if you can have something like we talked about, like with your tennis, like you played tennis today, but and I think it's good because when you're in business for yourself, it's not linear. It's not a linear 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever it is you work, in a regular job. It's all the time. So like you said, you get up early, typically you'll get up at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whatever, do your work and then go to 10. Well, you've worked half the day already before you go, but it's really good that you do that because it gets you thinking about something else and you're fresh when you come back.
Right.
The worst thing you can do is burn out in business because then you're really not creative and you're not enthused, you're not happy. So, I mean, I think that I think it's a tough road. I mean, I've never had to worry about it with you, and we've never really had to worry about it. But that's a tough one.
Yeah, but we've been around enough people that have had that. This is a serious issue, and
it's very serious.
I would just be very, very careful with your relationship and put business second and say, okay, this is my decision, and make sure it's clear. Maybe,
and I would go as far as saying if it's really sticky with your partner, that if you're going to do this, don't hesitate to go to a marriage counselor that maybe focuses on business, and there are people that do that.
Right,
that's all they do.
Right.
And they like family business, and that's what they do.
Right.
We know like family business that can be, get some help and let a third party, I mean, for whatever they charge you, go to 3 or 4 sessions and say, here's what we're putting on the table. We want to make sure our relationship stays in place and the business is secondary. It's important, but it's secondary.
Right.
How would we navigate? Don't be afraid to get help. There are people that do that for a living. They hear it, they hear it 8 hours a day. That's all they hear are these same problems you're experiencing. So I think that's one of the things, and maybe our generation, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think our generation, there was some, with getting help like that. Like, it's something we've never done, but we probably should have at some point.
Absolutely.
Because it would have been easier.
Lots of times, I think.
But it was sort of a shame thing. Like, you're failing if you do that in our generation.
Yeah.
I think the younger people now are more open to it. They're smarter.
Yeah, well, more information's out. Well, it's
smarter. I mean, people have expertise. Why not go to an expert?
I agree.
We all have our levels of expertise, and we all fall into the Peter principle where we go above our level. Yeah. There's Luna barking in the background. Oh, they want to eat. It's eating time.
No, they usually go out now.
Oh, they're barking for that. Yeah. Okay. Well, they're spoiled animals. They're much like yourself. You're a spoiled animal too.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay. Well, all right. So I think that's probably on working hard. Yeah. That's a tough one, but I would navigate that very carefully. But again, if you can't figure it out, and I don't know the answer, like you're saying, there's some things you can do, but if you can't figure it out, get help. Get a psychologist or a therapist that focuses on family business.
Right.
And if you don't live in a town near one, if you live in a small town, do it online.
They do it online.
Do it on Zoom.
Right.
And they'll walk you through some of these things. And you get one way to make it work, and that's perfect. It's a very professional podcast with the dog barking in the background.
We appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.